Okay, we're ready.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. First order of business, let's read our minutes and get approval of those. There's two sets. First one is November the 10th. Has everybody read those already? They got sent to you?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Do I hear a motion on those?
I'll make the motion to accept them.
All right. And then we've got the special meeting called November the 16th minutes. And I assume everybody's read those too, so I'll entertain a motion on that.
What about any discussion on those, the special call follow-up?
Is there any follow-up on it?
Well, we're still waiting on TDOT approval and a site plan. So from him, so I don't know whether we just want to table all that, let it ride for a while to see what happens, because there's no activity on the property, and pursue other things. Otherwise, somebody can make a motion to approve the special call meeting minutes. Fine with me.
Well, let's just table
Okay.
it since we've not got nothing yet.
The minutes, approving the minutes is one thing, table discussion on that would be.
Yes,
fine.
so that being an agenda item, all we need to do is go ahead and approve the minutes. That's, we're still pending, before they can get the building permit, we still need a site plan and they'll still need to get with TDOT. But as far as the minutes go, if they're an accurate account of the meeting, we can go ahead and approve both of those.
Right.
Good to go. Dwight, you make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
All right, all in favor?
Do we have a second on all of those?
Yeah, I'll second it. Sandy.
All right, all in favor?
Uh,
All right.
Thumbs up on the Zoom.
So on the Zoom, we have to do a roll call vote.
Okay.
And I'll just go ahead and do the roll call for you if that'll make it easier. Hal Davis,
Yes.
Sandy Grayson,
Yes.
Dwight Richards,
yes.
and Greg Davis.
Yes.
All right, what about some old business next? Is there anything as far as old business goes?
I don't know of any old business, and it sounds like we just talked about what carried over from your last meeting, but those two pending items for the fitness.
I believe that's all it is too. So we'll go ahead and go to the new business. Okay, introduce the first item here.
Okay, I believe we have Mary Ann on the line with us too. If she'd like to discuss with you what her questions are about the property. This is 13063 Griffith Highway. She is looking to purchase this property and had some questions about it. So Ms. Baker, if you want to talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, my husband is actually here with me, and he's going to be the one asking the questions. His name is Gabe Lane.
Evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes.
All right, just a few questions. We were looking at purchasing a modular home. In order to move that on a complete foundation or pillars,
Yeah.
Are you still there? I think we lost you.
yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. What type of mobile home are you talking about for this property?
It will be a double wide.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a newer model home.
Okay, so I don't know if you've seen this, the agenda packet I sent to your wife early last week. it had this graphic in here as far as building setbacks are concerned for the property. So
Okay.
Greg Davis went ahead and put this information on here for you. The zoning district that it's located in, it has a 40 feet front setback, and then a 10 feet side setback and a 25 feet rear yard setback. So he's drawn in the area there. That's what you see on the screen there in that kind of the yellowy beige area. That would be your
Okay.
building area. So as long as you locate your double wide within that area, that would be permissible. The property is zoned R1, so it is properly zoned to put a double wide on the property.
Okay. Now,
Sir?
so when I go in, I know some places, if you go in to clear a lot out, you have to leave some trees and all that stuff. Is there any kind of restrictions on how many trees I can take out or what I need to leave?
No, sir. There is a permit required by the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation if you disturb more than an acre of property. So if you stay under that acre, then no.
Okay, I believe the parcel's around a half an acre if I'm reading it right. So we should be good on that.
Yes, sir. I would think so.
Okay.
I don't think they heard you about the
One thing I
foundation.
did want to note to you, I was looking at this. I've not driven by the property, but I noticed you had some trees there in the front yard, and this was. Is there a driveway access to this property already, or would you be cutting in a new driveway?
I believe there is access.
Kind of looks like it's shared.
When we meet with the landowners and go over everything, there may be a potential driveway put in just so I can get my forestry truck in. But I believe there is current access, and it may be big enough for me to access my truck through that driveway.
Ed, that's an inaccurate street view right there. It still shows the old house on there.
Yeah.
That's quite old. And if I'm not mistaken, that driveway showing right there goes with the property next door. I don't know how that works, where is a unspoken, deal where they shared the driveway to get into that house. I haven't a clue unless anybody else remembers that's in the town. Right here, yeah. That goes with Hartley Rankin's old property. Dwight, do you have a clue?
I do not know.
Well, that's the only one I've ever seen. Now, there was a footbridge, for lack of a better term, with a small tile
Right.
that you walk to the mailbox, but it's long gone.
When there was people living in that house years and years ago, they did come off that driveway and then it just went straight in and they turned left. They parked in front of the house.
That's what I thought. They shared that driveway.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's on the deed or not. About Chad, your thoughts on that?
So it would most likely be listed on the deed if they did have the rights to use that for access. So if it's not mentioned, you'd probably be looking at cutting in a new driveway. But what I wanted to mention is any new driveway connection that you make onto 27 there, you will need a driveway connection permit from the Tennessee Department of Transportation. You can get it locally. The office that's there out of Marion County, or I believe it's the guy you may contact, maybe at the office in Sequatchie County, but it'd be a local permit that you'd be acquiring to get access to the property there.
Okay. Yeah, and I may have to put a new driveway in and put a heavier duty tile in because I do drive a transport with a dozer on it. And I don't know, even if I could use that driveway, if the tile in it would hold that much weight going across it. But yeah, we were just on the foundation of the home. Do we need to build a complete foundation with concrete footers and 8-inch block?
Have you spoken with the building inspector yet, Gabe Jurgen?
No, not yet.
Okay, you need to get with him on that. He can advise you as to exactly what you would need. He would be who you get your building permit from as well.
Okay.
She told us about the buildings have to be
Yeah,
behind. Missy
yeah.
did.
Yeah, we were just making sure as far as clearing the land,
Restrictions. On
restrictions on what we could and couldn't put on. I read that the minimum square foot for the home has to be 800, but we should be well above that.
Or should be required a septic permit.
Yes.
And if you were to think about putting a separate driveway, that's a TDOT permit in itself and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, we're gonna meet with the landowners here in a few days. That way I can make sure, I'm gonna get a perk test before we purchase the lot. Cause I mean, the perk, then obviously I can't build on it, but, that about covers all the questions that I had as far as major concerns.
well, just bear in mind, you got to stay in that footprint that's on that sketch.
Yes, and I'm glad y'all explained that. It makes a little more sense now that y'all explain what that actually is. We'll be well inside that.
Yeah. So you've got, like it says, you've got 12,000 square foot of buildable area in there, which is a little over 1/4 of an acre. Of course, all this stuff.
Yeah, and I believe the home we were looking at was 80 feet long. So that should be that'll be well inside that.
Yeah.
Buildable area.
Yeah, you ought to be good on that.
Well, all right, gents and lady, I appreciate all y'all's time this evening.
Thank you for coming.
Sir, and if you have any other questions, just please feel free to follow back up with us. We'll be glad to help you out.
All right, well, I appreciate y'all, and y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go, Chad, go to the B one.
Okay, I've got it up on the screen here, and I think we have the gentleman on that wanted to speak to us. So, Mr. White?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what I own 11.9 acres there behind the commercial buildings along the highway there. And there's a 50-foot easement that comes up in between the brick house and the Tennessee American Water. And I would want to survey out a lot at the end of that 50-foot easement. You can see it. I got a drawing kind of, I don't know if you can kind of see it or not. There's a little house. I wanted, at the end of this 50-foot easement, I was wanting to survey the little lot out. And there's a little house up there that I use for storage. And my son wanting to kind of work on it a little bit at a time, kind of move in it later on. There's a little house right here that I use for storage, and there's a barn back here in the back of the lot. Pretty good sized barn.
Yeah, it's right on the line, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it?
Yeah.
But they're at the corner, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Everybody got a good idea?
Mm-hmm.
Was that yummy? All right. So you're basically wanting to work on that structure that's there and repair it and build onto it, or what?
Yes. Well, not build onto it. Just right now it don't have no plumbing or electricity. It has a tin metal roof inside and windows. It used to be the old office of the lumber company.
Sharp Pickett's. It was Sharp Pickett's little little field office where they house the trucks and stuff in and out.
Right. And I went in and cleaned it out and gutted it and everything and put a roof on it where it wouldn't leak and put new windows in it. And it's all it is stud walls on the inside. And he's wanting, I'm using it for storage. And he's wanting to have a place to live. He's 22. And
What's got to be done first, because we got to rezone it and stuff.
kind of survey, get a surveyor come out and just survey the little lot around that house.
If this is zoned commercial right now,
Well,
Yes, sir. That is correct.
when I bought that property, I thought it was zone at the time, agriculture. When they auctioned that off,
That's a possibility.
I don't know when it got changed to commercial.
Mr. White, the house that's there now, when was the last time it was lived in?
Oh, it ain't never been lived in.
Okay.
It's it was the office for the Sharp and Pickett lumber. And it would kind of run down, and it was needed a new roof, cleaned out, and I got in there and cleaned it out and put a new roof on it, metal roof, and added some siding and windows to it, put a door in it. And I've been using it for storage since I've owned it. I've owned it probably about 20 years now.
The right of way that goes back to that property, that flag stem there, how wide does your plat show that is?
That's 50 foot.
Okay.
I have on that 11 acres, I got two 50-foot right of ways. I own the property of the right of ways all the way to the highway, according to my deed.
So what size lot were you thinking about for where the structure is there?
Well, the minimum I can put on it.
And so a couple of things just to note on your plat there. Private roads are permitted. They have to be at least 50 feet wide. So it sounds like you have what you need for your private road there. Now, for it to be used as a residence, with that property being currently zoned commercial, it would have to be something else, some other district before it could be. I think the only adjoining districts there now are agricultural.
Say that again now.
The property that you own is, all of it is zoned commercial, and
Right.
so it's not permitted for residential dwellings.
Okay. I need to get that rezoned then, if I can.
Let's see, in their zoning ordinance, let's get into that section.
I know the lot below it, below mine is owned by Albertini. And I think he had his, what I understand, had his put back to residential or agriculture or something.
His was rezoned to agricultural.
Hey,
Now, the issue we have, though, is in an agricultural zone, when you subdivide property, the minimum lot size is 5 acres. That's as small as you could subdivide down to.
So if we were to have it rezoned, that would be the minimum, 5 acres out of that large tract.
Oh, they'll give him half of my property there. Well, it was on it residential.
Typically, that's not done because the property would have to be spot zoned for us to do it residential. There isn't any other zoning districts nearby that are residential. Those are kind of confined to other neighborhood areas with smaller lot sizes. And the reason yours is zoned commercial is everything that fronted pretty much on 27 through there had been zoned to commercial, with the exception of one property on the end. So they've kind of done pretty much a whole center of downtown area, made all of that commercial where the downtown buildings were.
When did they do that?
I don't know when this, as long as I've worked with them, that property's been commercial. So I don't know how long ago that would be. Greg might have a better idea.
The only thing that I can think of is when we worked at the state, Chad, that was Bentley. And he may have done a, you know, how in the world we'd find that out. I don't know, you know, because I don't know where our records would be on that. You know what I'm saying?
This is what the current zoning map looks like. I've zoomed out a little bit more than what's in your packets here. And see, the only thing we have adjoining this are large tracts of land that are agricultural. So to try to put a small residential lot right here in the middle of all of this, that's considered spot zoning, and a lot of courts have held that communities can't do that because it's rezoning property for the benefit of one owner for a use that's not compatible with the adjoining properties.
What is the woods behind my property?
This back here,
Yes.
it's agricultural.
So,
And this lot here is Mr. Albertini. So we did rezone it in its entirety. It was all commercial before, but you know, it's a large tract of land here. I mean, he's got 6.43 acres and he's not further subdividing.
right.
I mean, the planning commission might be open to looking at rezoning to agricultural, which would allow you to put a residence there, but we wouldn't be able to allow you to subdivide lower than 5 acres.
And that's his only access is right there, that 50-foot right of way.
I believe he said he had 2 accesses.
Yes, to the 11 acres. But the other one, access, you would have to go through swampland to get to it and build the land up and the road in to it. I don't know how that'll work out because all that back in the back of them stores, they're supposed to have a drainage ditch, which some of them's been covered up.
Yeah, we have some problems with flooding issues around that we've been trying to work out. That water, when it comes down through there by Terry's and out there behind the old Western Auto and the storage buildings.
Yeah, they're behind the old Texaco where the motorcycle shop is now. I think Barker owns it.
Correct.
There's a ditch that come down between the water company and the Barker's property. And it ran into a ditch that run across all the way behind all those commercial buildings. Well, he covered that ditch over. Now that water coming down that off the highway down that ditch is coming back on my property.
Ted, what do you figure is his best alternatives on this?
Well, I think we're sort of limited with options. If you wanted to use the property and put a residence on there, agriculture would be the best route to go. But if you want to subdivide off a piece to give your son, it couldn't be less than 5 acres. So we're kind of restricted there. So that's about the only way you could use it for residential uses.
Well, there's 2 residents right here in front of me. Have you seen them?
Anything that would be there now is what falls into their ordinance as a non-conforming use, meaning that they can't alter and repair it or tear it down and build it back. If they were to discontinue the use as a residence or try to replace it, it would have to become a commercial commercial use for the property.
Clarence built a brand new house back in the time.
Yeah, that brick house was burnt down. They built it back.
So there are some provisions that was in the agenda packet talking about non-conforming uses. There are some provisions, for instance, that say in their ordinance, it says if it's been damaged by more than 75% of its appraised value, it says except for single family and two family dwellings, anything damaged by more than 75% of its value can't be built back. So it did have a provision they could reconstruct it if it were a single or two family structure.
I can't do the whole 5 acres. I'll just have to figure something else out.
All right, do you have any more questions for us before you go?
No, that'll do it.
All right, we appreciate it. All right, let's see, what do we got next? C is election of planning commission officers.
Okay, according to your bylaws, this came up, it should have been done at the November meeting. We did not do that when we last met. I just discovered that usually we typically do these in January or July. So we're just kind of making up for lost time on this one, but we would be holding an election for the chairman, vice chairman, and secretary. We do this annually. So we are short one member tonight, so it's up to you if you want to do these elections tonight or postpone to another meeting.
He's on the phone. He's there.
He's muted.
I know, but we don't have Robbie on.
Oh, that's right. Okay, got you.
Yeah, we probably.
Yeah, I'm here.
We probably better put these off.
Robbie said he was here.
Oh, that's me, Anthony.
As Anthony.
Oh, sorry.
We probably better put these off till everybody's here.
Yeah, that'd be best.
We'll have a special thing when everybody can get.
Yeah, if you could get everybody to commit to meeting and get everybody together, we'd call a special one for it.
It's not necessary to do that. We'll just do it whenever we do our next meeting. Since he was serving as our vice chairman, and I hate for him not to be here when we're doing the election again.
I agree. All right, we'll put it off till another meeting then. Adoption of updates of planning commission bylaws.
Okay, so one thing I typically do in January, like I said, that's a lot of times when we hold our election of officers. I pulled your bylaws and I noticed there were some updates we were needing to make to them. They haven't been looked at in quite a while. So what I've done to make it easy for you, the changes I've made, updates are in yellow, and then there's a couple of discussion items I wanted to ask you about in going through here. But you recall a little while back, we had expanded the membership to 6. So I have changed that in your bylaws to now state 6, and of course increase the at-large members to 4. I did go ahead and change just to make it easy, especially for my memory, just to hold our elections in January. Previously that stated November, so that's been updated. We had also made a change a little while back to our meeting schedule to where we started meeting at 5 p.m. Central. So I've updated that in the bylaws. One thing I did want to talk about was currently it says that if we hold a special called meeting, it would be advertised in the newspaper not less than 3 days. Is that what you typically do for city business? I know a lot of communities usually have 5 or 7 days.
You got 3 days in there for it too.
I can't quote that, but I'm pretty sure that's what we do without having Missy present.
Because I pulled this section of TCA and it didn't specify a particular time limit. So I'm just asking to confirm that that's what you typically do.
Now,
So on this
the
page, it says-
Jasper Journal. Go ahead, Greg.
go ahead, Mayor. I go ahead.
Jasper Journal just runs once a week. So normally, if we're going to run something in there, we've got to have it in a week in advance.
Okay. So if you're fine with leaving that in there, that would be okay. But what it said there on section 4, this one right here, it talked about 3 days for a special call meeting. And on the next page, it said 5 days prior notice for a public hearing. So if you're good with those are the only questions I had about it when I was reading through here. Okay, and then the last thing I changed, and I already made this change on your agenda tonight, I moved the hearing of persons having business before the planning commission further down. It was near the top. Typically, we do that last after we've done our old and new business. So I just moved that further down your agenda.
All right.
I just made that change in your bylaws too.
Anybody got any
Those are the
questions?
changes. Are there any questions or comments on them?
I don't know if that 3, I guess it kind of works out with Jasper Journal, the circulation. That's the local paper. Comes out every week. So
If you put it 5 or 7 days, though, since it comes out once a week, it may take you 2 weeks to have your meeting after it gets in you. So 3 days, no less than 3 days sounds better to me. More discussion about those changes?
I'm good with them.
All right, do we need a motion to approve those changes?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
All right, those in favor?
We'll do the roll call like we've done before. So I just go back to my list. Kyle Davis,
Yes.
Sandy Grayson,
Yes.
White Richards,
Yes.
Greg Davis,
yes.
and Anthony Grayson.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll get a copy over to Missy so that we can get those signed and we'll just update those.
All right, we'll down there towards the, any properly presented new business, and I think Greg has got something he's wanting to discuss, 2 things tonight.
I don't know if I want to hold everybody up, but I sent y'all that late announcement that we've got a tiny home issue we've got to deal with. So could you stick that in there, Chad?
It's right here.
I think that one there on that piece of property has been there a month. And the other ones have been there 3 or 4 days.
What are these homes? Where they've hauled them things in like down there at Kimball?
One is, the one by the chicken houses is one of those. It's got a little front porch, everything. It's a tiny home.
It's one of those buildings they brought in, and you can buy them pre-wired and everything now, and they just set it up, and I'd say they put paneling or something in it, made this it's a little cabin looking thing is what it is.
Now, was it a storage building to start with, or was it constructed as a tiny home?
Well, it's description, it's verbiage, Chad. Some people call them, it looks just like a storage building is how they started out, but then when they stick the wiring and stuff in there, it becomes something else, People
Well, the state calls those that are storage buildings that aren't pre-wired and plumbed to be a tiny home, they're classified as what the state calls a ready removable. And the building office will not issue permits to make those a residence or be converted into it.
Well, that's what we can't understand. How's that in there by the?
And so to even get a building permit from Gabe, he wouldn't have been able to give a building permit to make it occupied for residential occupancy if it was considered to be a ready removable.
Does it have power to it?
Under there.
It's got a transformer and power to it.
No, it's got power somehow.
Gonna run an extension cord.
Well, if you remember, there used to be a camper set there years ago.
So it's got a,
And I think they probably put up a temporary service. You know, like they'll put up them temporary services for campers. If say you want to put one out in your yard. I bet that's what they've got.
And so back to something, we made this change a few months ago. Greg, what district was that in? I didn't look it up ahead of time. Do you remember?
that's right here.
Oh, you've got zoning as agricultural.
Yeah, I've got it on the thing. Zoning's ag. And the other one was residential.
Okay, so on agricultural, we never did decide on a minimum dwelling size. That was only in the R1 and R2 zones.
Yeah.
For the structures, there isn't a minimum size. I think part of the reasoning was we had decided back then that since you have to have a minimum of 5 acres, subdividing for agricultural, that it wasn't a worry to put a tiny home on a large piece of land. It was in our neighborhoods, we didn't want to have the small homes. So that one doesn't apply.
Caretaker of the chicken houses.
Well, that one's going to be hard to deal with. Of how we have to say that it don't belong there. That's going to be a problem.
Well, did they get a building permit to put it there?
Not through the town, no.
See, and they would have had to have a building permit, and they would have had to have a certificate of occupancy to occupy it. So if they don't have either of those two things, the town can ask them to have it removed.
And then the other piece of property is actually storage sheds that they're living in, sort of like we see in some of our regional things, Chad,
Is there anything we can do about this first one?
This one, I think so. I would check with Gabe to start with. And if he didn't issue any permits on it, the town could start the process to have it removed.
But if they come in then and say, well, we'll go get our permits, what's to keep us from letting them do that?
Well, there's no minimum size for it, but that's where Gabe's going to have to determine if it's classified as a ready removable and whether or not he'd issue a permit.
So bottom line, Gabe's going to have to get involved with these if he's available.
Yes.
Both instances. See, he's coming off of quarantine, and I don't know if he's out.
Missy's talked to him today, and he said he would be up here in the next few days.
Okay.
You get that other picture you can put up there on that other piece. Where is it there?
It's right here. This is, Dwight, if you remember, this is the driveway that was caved in. It's
Right.
It's back in the woods, and I mean, they could be having a who knows what going on back in there. We'd never know. Rose Powell's right here, and then that house right next to it where the trees were growing up through the in-ground pools right next to it. Larry Williams' old house.
Yeah.
And it's that next little driveway. It goes back in behind there.
Were these portable sheds, Greg, or are they permanently constructed?
No, they're just storage sheds.
And see, here's where you have a little bit different weight on this one. This one is zoned R1. And in R1, we set the minimum dwelling size to be 800 square feet. So first of all, that's a no-go on that size.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to pull my presentation here. This is what we talked about last year on the tiny homes. Let's see.
Yeah, I saw a picture just like that one.
Here's the ready removable section. Wow, since I've looked at this, hang on 1 second.
That one right there on the bottom left, Greg says is what's up there.
It looks an awful lot like that, don't it, Dwight?
Yeah.
I thought I had it in here.
Up there, up at the chicken houses.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a lot smaller than that. It's small. I'd say it's probably not 14 foot long.
Sounds like Gabe's going to get involved with all these.
I thought I had that section listed in here.
But both of these instances, though, is a case for Gabe to check into, correct?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
All right, I guess we better get him involved then. It's up to the city to do that, right?
He's supposed to, when he comes up, that's what he's coming for, is both them places.
All right. Okey doke. We ain't got anybody else on here needing to come before the commission for anything, have we?
No, we do not.
Okay. All right, everybody good to go?
All right, I'll make the motion to end the meeting. Adjourn.
I'll second.
Okey dokey. Do we gonna roll call this too?
Sure, we can do that.
All right.
Okay, Hal Davis,
Yes.
Sandy Grayson,
Yes.
Dwight Richards,
Yes.
Greg Davis,
Yes.
and Anthony Grayson.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate you all trying out something different for us this month. You know, with the numbers of COVID cases going up around, and I just saw an article today said Chattanooga was becoming a hot spot, and Tennessee already was one. But we've heard a lot of people around our area that's contracted it. And, we've lost a family member to it, so I hope nobody else has to experience that either. But it's something we hope we get under control in the near future. But the way vaccines are rolling out, it looks like it's going to take some time.
I thank everybody.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Greg, for setting this up, Chad.
Yes, sir. You all have a good evening. Talk to you next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.